Hello, YouTube. This is Step Ahead with Ernie Rivera. I am your host, Ernie Rivera. Let's talk about being invincible, shall we? Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." What does that mean? He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. If you know why you are doing something, you can get through anything to do it. And I'm going to talk about a couple men today. The first one being a man you may not have heard of. His name is James Buster Douglas. Who is Buster Douglas? Now, unless you're a real boxing fan, you may not know his name. But it was February 1990. And Buster Douglas would step in the ring with a man you may know by the name of Mike Tyson. This was at a time when Mike Tyson was at his peak. He was unstoppable. He was the monster no one wanted to enter the ring with. There was maybe one man who was left on his list, Evander Holyfield, and he hadn't had a chance to fight him just yet. So looking to fight Evander Holyfield in the future, Tyson was seeking a quick payday. So he set up a fight to fight in Tokyo, Japan in 1990, February, with a man named Buster Douglas for the championship of the World Heavyweight. That is the World Heavyweight Championship, sorry. Now, no one gave Buster Douglas much thought. He had odds in maybe one parlor for like 42 to 1. That's right. You put up $1, he wins, you get $42. That was ridiculous. So what is his story? Well, he came from, Buster Douglas said this, he came from a boxing family. His father was a boxer. Douglas himself, the younger Douglas, was one of the great underachievers of sports history. He was a legitimate fighter, and he was a heavyweight. He was not seen as a great fighter by most. How he got in the ring with Mike Tyson, not exactly sure. But I do know that people say that he had talent, he had strength, but he didn't have the heart. He was just this underachiever. People didn't pay him much attention. But he was on his way to train Mike Tyson. At this time, his mother was sick. And this is hard to say, but it was only 23 days before his scheduled fight. His mother ended up dying. The thing is, before she died, she was talking to her son. She said, "I'm a little worried about you entering the ring with Mike Tyson. That guy's a killer. What are you going to do?" And he said, "Don't worry about me, Mom. I got this. I'm going to beat Tyson." And his mother, God bless her, she started telling her friends, "My son is going to beat Mike Tyson." She told her friends that. And it was 23 days before the fight when she passed away. This somehow galvanized Buster Douglas. He knew what he had to do and why. He had his talent that he already developed over the course of years. I'm not going to say he wasn't talented, because obviously he was. But he may not have had it in him to fight this fight before his mother passed. When that happened, he knew his why. His mother had passed, and he was doing it for her, for her memory. So he enters the ring with Tyson, February 1990. They're in there, they're fighting. What happens? Buster Douglas, actually, he's coming out ahead. Mike Tyson, he didn't train for this fight. Well, that's what they say. But the fact is, he wasn't at his top, but Douglas was bringing it that day. Until what happens? 1 second. He drops his guard. Boom! Tyson grabs him with an uppercut. Knocks him to the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and Douglas is up. He is up. He gets up onto his feet. He starts bringing it again. And in a later round, what happens? He knocks down Mike Tyson. He knocks him down so hard that the mouthpiece flew out of his mouth. Mike Tyson doesn't know what's going on. He's searching for his mouthpiece. He knows they won't let him fight without it. He puts it in his mouth haphazardly. He's getting up. 8, 9, no, 10. He does not do it. Mike Tyson was knocked out by Buster Douglas, a man people would never have conceived to have ever beaten him, and he became the world heavyweight champion. He is forever in that arena with the greats of all time. He did it. He did it for his family, for his mother, because he knew why he was fighting. And sometimes that's all it takes. When we really know why we're fighting, we can do it. We can beat almost anything. But we need to know why. Another man I'm going to talk to you about, his name is David Goggins. You may know his name, you may not know his name. But I'll tell you, he's one of the hardest men on earth. David Goggins, who became a Navy SEAL, later an ultra-marathon runner and one of the world pull-up champions. He started off overweight. In school, people threatening his life. He was terrified each and every day. At some point, he became over 300 pounds. He said, admittedly, he was terrified each and every day. He was terrified of the life he had to live. He was working as a fumigator at one point when he was over 300 pounds. And he said, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this. He thought, how can I better my life? And he thought the only way to better his life was to face his greatest fears. He said, who do I want to be like? What is his why? His life was his why. He needed to be stronger for himself, for his family. He knew what he wanted. He wanted his life to be better, and the only way to do that was to face his fears. He wanted to become one of the hardest men on earth, a Navy SEAL. Now, of course, at, let's say, 6'1", over 300 pounds, there was no way on earth he was going to do this. But he heard about this recruiting station, and he ended up entering into the reserves. I believe he was a reservist, and they made him a deal. They said, if you can somehow lose the weight, come down to basically like 200, 210 pounds, something like that, in a few months, then we can give you a shot. You can enter Navy SEAL training. And, you know, he thought he was beat. He thought he was beat. He thought there was no way. He's like, oh, well, you know, I'm going to go back to my life as a fumigator, whatever. I'm going to have that double and that shake, and let's do this. So he goes back to his fumigation job. One night, he hits a nest, and cockroaches are pouring all over this man. And that is when he had enough. He refused to live like this any longer. He wanted better for his life, and he was finally he reached the point where he would do anything to get better for his life. So he goes on a radical diet, and I'm not recommending this. I am not recommending this. Obviously, if you're going to go on any kind of diet, you talk to your doctor, you make sure you do it right. But this is his story. He went on a radical diet. He started exercising every day. He I believe he was a reservist at this point. And in a few months, somehow, he lost over 100 pounds. And he was able to enter SEAL training. He kept with it. He kept with his SEAL training. He invented a technique he calls taking souls. And what does that mean? It sounds a little macabre, but what he's trying to say is basically when they're trying to rain hell on him, he refuses to let any of it get to him. He willingly jumps into that fire, knowing that he got the better of them for not crumbling. He went through his SEAL training. He graduated. He became a Navy SEAL. And as I said afterwards, he became an ultra-marathon runner. He became a world pull-up champion. And he ended up becoming a motivational speaker. I highly recommend you look up both these men. Buster Douglas and David Goggins, two of the most amazing people I have ever heard of, the most amazing stories. You really got to check this out because, like I said, they knew their why. They knew why they were in this, and they were not going to settle for anything less, and that is why they took it. And that is what I'm recommending to you here today. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you need. It is up to you to figure it out. But once you think you know, you better know your why. And you go after it with everything you have. And I wish you all the luck in the world. I'm rooting for you. Again, this is Step Ahead with Ernie Rivera. I am Ernie Rivera, and I wish you the best in the world. Take care of yourself.